Are you over 70, living alone, and still doing things that made perfect sense when you lived with family, but now put your safety and independence at serious risk? Stay with me, because I'm going to reveal 7 common things that seniors living alone continue doing that could literally cost them their health, money, and independence. Plus the simple changes that make solo living safer and easier. The first thing on this list is in 90% of senior homes and seems completely harmless. But emergency room doctors say it's responsible for thousands of preventable injuries every year. Last month, Betty from Colorado fell while reaching for dishes on a high shelf, breaking her wrist and spending 3 days unable to call for help because her phone was in another room. At 73, Betty was still organizing her kitchen, the same way she had for 30 years when her late husband could reach those shelves. This simple oversight nearly cost Betty her independence. Thing 1. Keeping dangerous home items and unsafe layouts. Why are you still using step stools, keeping loose rugs, and storing essential items in high places when a single fall could end your independence forever? This question addresses one of the most overlooked dangers facing seniors living alone. Maintaining home environments designed for younger, more agile people or households with multiple residents who could provide assistance. Many seniors continue using the same furniture arrangement, storage systems, and household items they've had for decades, never considering that their physical capabilities have changed or that living alone creates different safety requirements. The familiarity of these arrangements provides comfort and normalcy, but this comfort can become deadly when balance, strength, and reaction time have declined with age. The Centers for Disease Control reports that 95% of hip fractures in seniors result from falls, with 20% of hip fracture patients never returning to independent living. These statistics become even more alarming when you consider that most falls in senior homes result from preventable hazards like loose rugs, poor lighting, unstable furniture, or items stored in difficult-to-reach locations. Step stools and ladders, which many seniors use regularly to reach high shelves, represent particular dangers because they require balance, coordination, and strength that may have diminished without the senior realizing it. Bathroom falls are especially common and dangerous due to wet surfaces, hard fixtures, and the need to change positions frequently from sitting to standing. The psychological impact of fall-related injuries often exceeds the physical damage. Many seniors lose confidence in their ability to move safely through their homes. This fear of falling can lead to increased sedentary behavior, social isolation, and rapid physical decline that creates a downward spiral of weakness and vulnerability. Home modifications that prevent falls also provide peace of mind, allowing seniors to move confidently through their living spaces without constant worry about potential hazards. Research from Johns Hopkins shows that seniors who make appropriate home safety modifications maintain independence longer and require fewer emergency medical interventions compared to those living in unmodified environments. Byron from Miami continued using a rickety wooden step stool to reach his coffee mugs from a high cabinet every morning, ignoring his daughter's concerns about the stool's stability. When the stool collapsed under his weight, Byron fell hard on his kitchen floor, breaking his hip and lying helpless for hours until a neighbor found him. Move all frequently used items to waist height or lower. Remove loose rugs and replace them with secure alternatives. Install grab bars in bathrooms and use long-handled reaching tools instead of climbing on unstable surfaces. Improve lighting throughout your home, especially in hallways and stairways, and ensure that all furniture is stable and positioned to provide support. Don't wait. Walk through your home today and eliminate these life-threatening hazards immediately. Thing 2. Buying in bulk and hoarding perishable foods. Are you still buying economy-size packages and bulk groceries that expire before you can use them, wasting money and creating serious health hazards in your home? This seemingly practical habit, which made perfect sense when feeding a family or when storage space was unlimited, becomes counterproductive and dangerous when you're living alone. With different consumption patterns and storage limitations, many seniors continue bulk buying out of habit, economic concerns, or because they remember when buying in quantity was necessary for feeding larger households. However, bulk purchases often lead to food waste, storage problems, and the dangerous temptation to consume spoiled or expired products rather than waste money. Harvard Medical School studies show that seniors living alone waste 40% more food than couples, often eating spoiled food that causes dangerous infections and gastrointestinal problems. Foodborne illnesses that might cause minor discomfort in younger people can become life-threatening in seniors, whose immune systems are less capable of fighting infections. Spoiled dairy products, expired meats and moldy produce can cause serious infections that require hospitalization and may lead to complications like dehydration, kidney problems, or sepsis. Additionally, cluttered refrigerators and pantries make it difficult to track expiration dates and identify spoiled items, increasing the likelihood of accidental consumption of dangerous foods. The financial impact of food waste often negates any savings achieved through bulk purchasing, especially when medical costs from food poisoning are considered. Seniors living on fixed incomes frequently feel pressure to consume food they've purchased, even when it's questionable. Viewing waste as financial, this mindset can lead to serious health consequences that far exceed any money saved through bulk buying. Storage limitations in smaller, senior-appropriate housing also make bulk buying impractical, as large quantities of food can overwhelm refrigerator and pantry space, making organization and rotation difficult. Storage problems extend beyond spoilage to include pest attraction and home safety issues. Large quantities of stored food can attract rodents and insects that create additional health hazards and home maintenance problems. Overstuffed pantries and refrigerators become fire hazards when items are stored near heat sources or block ventilation. Heavy bulk items stored inappropriately can create lifting hazards that lead to back injuries or falls when seniors attempt to move or reorganize their purchases. Stella from Seattle regularly bought large containers of dairy products and produced because the unit prices seemed more economical, but she consistently threw away more than half of each purchase due to spoilage. When she consumed questionable leftovers to avoid waste, she developed food poisoning that required emergency hospitalization and resulted in medical bills far exceeding any grocery savings. Buy only what you can realistically consume within 1 week. Choose smaller packages, even if the unit price is slightly higher, and shop more frequently for fresh items to ensure quality and safety. Plan meals in advance to avoid impulse purchases and overbuying, and don't be tempted by bulk discounts that exceed your actual consumption needs. Don't wait. Clean out your refrigerator and pantry right now, disposing of expired items and changing your shopping habits immediately. Thing 3. Maintaining oversized living spaces you can't manage. Does it make sense to keep a large home with multiple levels, big yards, and rooms you never use when maintenance is becoming impossible and dangerous for your health? This attachment to oversized living spaces represents one of the most emotionally challenging but practically important decisions. Facing seniors living alone, many people develop strong emotional connections to homes where they raised families, celebrated milestones, and built lifetime memories, making the prospect of downsizing feel like abandoning their history and identity. However, maintaining properties that exceed your physical and financial capabilities can become dangerous and counterproductive, creating stress and hazards that compromise both safety and quality of life. The Mayo Clinic reports that seniors who downsize to appropriate living spaces have 35% fewer accidents and significantly better mental health outcomes compared to those struggling to maintain oversized properties. Large homes present multiple safety challenges for aging residents, including stairs that become increasingly dangerous, extensive floor areas that increase fall distances and make emergency response more difficult, and maintenance requirements that force seniors to attempt physical tasks beyond their capabilities. Yard maintenance, roof repairs, heavy cleaning, and seasonal preparations like snow removal or storm cleanup can result in serious injuries when attempted by seniors whose physical abilities have declined. Financial considerations often make oversized homes impractical for seniors living on fixed incomes, as property taxes, utilities, insurance, and maintenance costs continue rising while retirement incomes remain static. The cost of heating and cooling large spaces, maintaining extensive landscaping, and repairing aging systems can consume disproportionate portions of senior budgets, leaving insufficient funds for healthcare, social activities, and other important needs. Many seniors become house poor. With most of their wealth tied up in property they can't afford to maintain properly, creating a cycle of deferred maintenance that makes homes increasingly dangerous and decreases property values. The psychological burden of maintaining oversized homes can contribute to depression, anxiety, and social isolation as seniors become overwhelmed by responsibilities they can no longer handle effectively. Guilt about declining maintenance standards, fear of safety hazards, and stress about financial pressures can significantly impact mental health and overall well-being. Conversely, seniors who downsize to appropriate living spaces often report feeling relieved, more secure, and better able to focus on activities and relationships that bring joy and fulfillment to their lives. Edmund from Denver struggled to maintain his 4-bedroom house with a large yard after his wife passed away, falling on icy front steps while attempting to shovel snow and injuring his back seriously enough to require physical therapy. The house's heating bills consumed nearly half his monthly income, and he lived in constant worry about maintenance issues he couldn't address safely. Consider downsizing to a smaller, single-level home or apartment that matches your current physical abilities and financial resources, preferably in a community designed for seniors with appropriate services and social opportunities. Look for properties with minimal maintenance requirements, good security, and proximity to medical care, shopping, and public transportation. Don't wait. Start evaluating your living situation honestly and begin the downsizing process before maintenance becomes dangerous and unmanageable. Thing 4. Keeping complex financial and technology systems. Why maintain complicated financial accounts, multiple credit cards, and complex technology setups that confuse you and make you vulnerable to scams and costly mistakes? This attachment to complex systems often develops over decades of accumulating different accounts, services, and devices, without considering how changing cognitive abilities and lifestyle needs affect your ability to manage these systems effectively. Many seniors maintain multiple checking accounts, savings accounts, credit cards, and investment accounts that made sense during their working years but become overwhelming and counterproductive in retirement. Similarly, complex technology systems with multiple devices, applications, and passwords can become sources of frustration and vulnerability rather than helpful tools. Johns Hopkins research shows that seniors with simplified financial systems are 60% less likely to fall victim to financial fraud and make fewer costly mistakes like missed payments, overdraft fees, and duplicate accounts. Complex financial arrangements make it difficult to track spending, identify fraudulent activity, and maintain accurate records for tax purposes and estate planning. Multiple accounts often result in scattered assets that are forgotten or lost, minimum balance fees for accounts that are rarely used, and confusion about where specific funds are located when needed. Credit cards with different terms, payment dates, and reward programs become difficult to manage effectively, leading to late fees, interest charges, and damage to credit scores. Technology complexity creates similar problems, as seniors struggle to remember multiple passwords, navigate different interfaces, and troubleshoot problems across various devices and applications. Complex systems are more likely to malfunction, require updates, and become obsolete, creating ongoing frustration and expense. Scammers specifically target seniors with complex technology setups, because confusion and uncertainty make victims more likely to provide personal information or grant remote access to devices. Simple, streamlined systems are not only easier to use, but also more secure because they have fewer vulnerabilities and are easier to monitor for problems. The cognitive load of managing complex systems can become overwhelming as mental processing speed and working memory decline with age. Tasks that were manageable in younger years can become sources of stress and anxiety, contributing to social isolation as seniors avoid activities that require interaction with confusing technology or financial systems. Simplification reduces stress, improves confidence, and allows seniors to focus mental energy on activities and relationships that bring fulfillment rather than frustration. Marvin from Phoenix maintained 12 different financial accounts and credit cards, frequently missing payments and falling victim to phone scams because he couldn't keep track of his various account details and security procedures. His complex computer setup with multiple email accounts and applications made him vulnerable to phishing attempts that compromised several accounts before he recognized the problem. Consolidate bank accounts to one checking and one savings account that meet all your needs. Cancel unnecessary credit cards and keep only one or two for different purposes. And automate bill payments to prevent missed payments and late fees. Simplify technology setups by using single-purpose devices when possible, maintaining written records of important passwords and account information, and seeking help from family or professionals to streamline systems you can't manage alone. Don't wait. Start simplifying your financial and technology systems this week, beginning with the most confusing or problematic arrangements. Thing 5. Keeping high-maintenance pets and excessive responsibilities. Do you still have large dogs, multiple pets, or demanding animals that require more physical care than you can safely provide without risking injury or compromising the animal's welfare? This emotional attachment to pets that no longer match your physical capabilities represents one of the most difficult decisions facing seniors living alone, as pets provide crucial companionship, purpose, and emotional support that are especially important for seniors. However, pets that exceed your physical abilities to care for properly can become sources of danger, stress, and guilt rather than comfort and joy. Large dogs that pull on leashes, jump on people, or require extensive exercise can cause falls and injuries that end independence permanently. The American Veterinary Medical Association reports that seniors with inappropriately sized pets have higher rates of falls and injuries from pet-related accidents, including tripping over pets, being knocked down by enthusiastic animals, and falling while attempting to provide care that exceeds their physical capabilities. Large dogs require daily walks regardless of weather conditions, creating slip and fall hazards during rain, snow, or icy conditions, when seniors feel obligated to meet their pets' needs despite dangerous conditions. Heavy pet food bags, large litter boxes, and grooming requirements can create lifting and bending challenges that result in back injuries or falls. Multiple pets compound these problems while creating additional challenges related to veterinary costs, medication management, and emergency planning. When seniors can no longer provide adequate care, pets may suffer from inadequate exercise, irregular feeding, missed medical care, and social isolation that affects their health and behavior. Guilt about declining care standards can contribute to depression and anxiety in seniors who recognize that their beloved pets aren't receiving the attention and care they deserve, but feel unable to make difficult decisions about rehoming or euthanasia. Pet care responsibilities can also limit social activities and travel opportunities that are important for senior mental and physical health. Obligations to provide daily care Medication administration and constant companionship can become overwhelming for seniors dealing with their own health challenge and mobility limitations. Emergency situations become more complicated when seniors must arrange pet care while dealing with medical crises, hospitalization, creating additional stress during already difficult circumstances. Clarence from Texas kept his large German Shepherd despite developing mobility issues that made controlling the powerful dog increasingly difficult. When the dog spotted a squirrel during their morning walk, his sudden lunge knocked Clarence to the ground, breaking his collarbone and requiring surgery that left him unable to care for the dog during his recovery period. Choose pets that match your current physical ability living situation. Considering smaller animals that require less physical maintenance and are easier to manage during. Explore pet fostering programs that provide companionship without lifetime commitments, or consider visiting therapy animals that provide social benefits without care responsibility. Don't wait. Honestly assess whether your current pets match your capabilities and make necessary adjustments to protect both your safety and their welfare. Thing 6. Lacking proper emergency preparedness systems. Why don't you have medical alert systems, emergency contacts easily accessible, and backup communication methods when living alone makes emergencies potentially fatal if you can't call for help? This lack of emergency preparedness represents one of the most dangerous oversights among seniors living alone, as medical emergencies, accidents, and natural disasters can become life-threatening when no one knows you need assistance. Many seniors resist emergency preparedness systems because they feel these devices suggest weakness, dependence, or acknowledgement of aging that conflicts with their self-image of independence and capability. However, proper emergency planning actually supports and extends independence by providing safety nets that allow seniors to continue living alone with confidence. Emergency medicine specialists report that seniors with proper alert systems are 50% more likely to survive medical emergencies and have significantly better outcomes due to faster response times and more complete medical information provided to first responders. Medical alert devices can detect falls automatically, monitor vital signs, and provide immediate communication with emergency services even when seniors are unconscious or unable to speak. These systems also provide peace of mind for family members, reducing their anxiety about seniors living alone and potentially preventing unnecessary moves to assisted living facilities. Communication systems become crucial during emergencies when primary methods may fail due to power outages, equipment malfunctions, or physical incapacity. Seniors who rely solely on cell phones or landlines may find themselves unable to call for help if devices are damaged, batteries die, or they're physically unable to reach their phones during emergencies. Backup communication methods and emergency contact systems ensure that help can be summoned, even when primary systems fail or when seniors are temporarily incapacitated. Emergency preparedness extends beyond medical crises to include natural disasters, home security issues, and utility failures that can become life-threatening for seniors living alone. Severe weather events, power outages, and home invasions require different response strategies and communication methods that should be planned and practiced in advance. Emergency supply kits with medications, food, water, and communication devices become essential when external assistance may be delayed or unavailable for extended periods. Jasper from Portland suffered a stroke while watching television, but couldn't reach his phone, which was charging in his bedroom. He lay helpless on his living room floor for 14 hours until a neighbor noticed that his newspapers were accumulating and called police for a welfare check. Install medical alert devices that work automatically without requiring conscious activation. Program emergency contacts into speed dial on all phones and establish regular check-in schedules with family members or neighbors who will notice if you don't respond as expected. Create written emergency information sheets that first responders can find easily, including medical conditions, current medications, emergency contacts, and healthcare provider information. Don't wait. Set up comprehensive emergency systems immediately, because your life may literally depend on having help available when you can't ask for it. Thing 7. Holding on to unnecessary possessions and clutter. Are you keeping decades of possessions, paperwork, and clutter that create hazards and make your home difficult to navigate safely, especially during nighttime or emergency situations? This attachment to accumulated possessions represents one of the most common and dangerous problems facing seniors living alone, as clutter that seemed manageable in larger homes with more residents becomes overwhelming and hazardous in smaller spaces or when physical abilities decline. Many seniors struggle to discard items that hold sentimental value, might be useful someday, or represent significant financial investments made over their lifetime. However, excessive possessions can transform homes into obstacle courses that increase fall risks and make emergency response difficult or impossible. Occupational therapy research shows that cluttered homes increase fall risk by 40% and make emergency response significantly more difficult for seniors, as paramedics and firefighters cannot navigate safely through cluttered spaces to provide assistance. Narrow pathways between stacked boxes, furniture, and stored items create tripping hazards during normal navigation and become impassable during emergencies when quick evacuation or medical access is required. Poor visibility due to clutter makes it difficult to see hazards like electrical cords, loose rugs, or spilled liquids that can cause falls, especially in low-light conditions during nighttime baths. Clutter also creates psychological stress and social isolation, as seniors become embarrassed about their living conditions and avoid inviting family, friends, or service providers into their homes. This isolation prevents important social connections and makes it difficult to receive help with home maintenance, medical care, or emergency assistance. The overwhelming nature of extensive clutter can lead to depression and anxiety, as seniors feel incapable of addressing problems that seem too large to manage alone. Fire safety becomes a critical concern in cluttered homes, as excessive possessions can block escape routes, hide fire hazards, and provide fuel for fires that spread rapidly through accumulated materials. Electrical systems become overloaded when too many items are plugged into outlets, and heating systems become fire hazards when storage items block ventilation or are placed too close to heat sources. Emergency responders report that cluttered homes are significantly more dangerous for both residents and rescue personnel during fire emergencies. Storage of important documents becomes problematic in cluttered environments, as critical paperwork like insurance policies, medical information, and financial documents become lost among accumulated possessions. This disorganization can delay emergency medical when first responders can't locate medical information, and create financial problems when important documents can't be found for tax preparation, insurance claims, estate planning purposes. Vivian from Atlanta couldn't navigate her hallways safely at night due to boxes of stored items lining both walls, falling over accumulated possessions and breaking her ankle when she tried to reach the bathroom during a middle-of-the-night emergency. The clutter was so extensive that paramedics had difficulty reaching her with a stretcher, delaying her transport to the hospital and potentially worsening her injury. Declutter systematically by working on one room at a time, keeping only essential items that you use regularly and that fit safely in appropriate storage areas. Create and maintain clear pathways throughout your home that are at least 3 feet wide, especially between bedrooms and bathrooms. Organize important documents in clearly labeled, easily accessible locations that emergency responders can find quickly if needed. Don't wait. Start decluttering your living spaces today, beginning with the most hazardous areas like hallways and emergency exit routes. These 7 things that don't make sense when living alone after 70 are all completely fixable with thoughtful changes. you can start making immediately. The key is being honest about your current physical capabilities, financial resources, and lifestyle needs, rather than trying to maintain systems and arrangements designed for different circumstances. Every change you make increases your safety, saves money, reduces stress, and helps you maintain independence longer and more successfully. Small adjustments made now prevent major problems, injuries, and emergencies that could force unwanted changes to assisted living or nursing care facilities. Tell me in the comments which of these 7 things you recognize in your own home and which changes you're going to prioritize first in making your solo living situation safer and more manageable. Share this video with other seniors who need this practical, potentially life-saving information to stay safe and independent while living alone successfully. Your share could prevent serious accidents and help someone make crucial improvements to their living situation before problems become dangerous or unmanageable.